Do you think you're mad or going crazy if you believe in the simulated universe theory? Or are you concerned maybe that if you told other people what you think, they will think you're crazy? Now, I suppose first started getting introduced to this whole concept from watching The Matrix, although I have to confess, the first time I saw it in the cinema with a good friend of mine. And I remember at the time thinking it was an amazing movie, but I don't think anybody really truly grasps what it's about the first time they watch it. It's one of those films that you can watch it over and over again, and you always learn something new from it. You always pick up something new, especially as, you know, you're always learning new things about the world and the true nature of reality, if you like. And then you go back and watch the film, and again, it's just like connects all the dots, and then you pick out different bits that make sense based on your knowledge at that time. But it wasn't until I'd say about 2010, 11, when I really started dipping back into that, and again watching the film and learning about stuff like the Akashic records, manifestation, time travel, and all these kind of things. And I discovered a guy called Steve Pavlina, which probably a lot of you have heard about. And he was really heavy into this simulated universe concept, or holographic universe, or whatever the terminology was at that point. And he would write these massive posts. They were like 5,000 to 10,000 words long, which is about as, some of them are longer almost than a university dissertation. Certainly longer than anything I've ever written. But I remember reading about this stuff thinking, wow, a lot of that makes sense, but it's also kind of crazy, And I remember Googling, I can't remember it was something like, is Steve Pavlina? And I started writing that. And then in Google, you know how it auto-completes to things that people regularly search for. And it completed it as, is Steve Pavlina gone crazy or gone mad or something like that? And I must admit, at the time, the thought had crossed my mind because the stuff was so crazy. It was so out there. I thought, wow, that's really weird. But then, and I've talked about this before, it's accepted, though, that from when most of us were at school, the Big Bang Theory, that everything started from this one singular, I don't know what you call it, atom, or this kind of singular item that was a shape of or the size of a pea, and there was no external forces on it, so I don't know why it then just suddenly exploded. And then everything in the entire universe, billions of stars surrounded by billions of planets, all came from that one point. Yet we just took that as read. We just thought, yeah, no, that that makes total sense. And again, I think it comes from as you start to get older and you get more perspective and you're just more open to things. But then another interesting thing is people don't question when you have these ancient civilizations like the Mayans, the Egyptians, and many others that have come to the conclusion somehow that the world is actually not as we see it, that it's some kind of illusion. And people don't seem to question that. I think if something is like ancient knowledge, I don't know, it has some sort of mystery or mystique behind it. And people don't think that's crazy. Yet, if you think that today, if I openly said this to some of my friends, they'd think I've lost the plot. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about that. Are you embarrassed by that? Are you, do you kind of keep this thing to yourself? Have you talked to other people about it and they've said, what are you talking about? Or have you managed to convert them, if you like? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video or you got anything out of it, please give me a like. I'd really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.